Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Thursday, the 11th of April, the day after CPI numbers that rattled the market, but they didn't rattle the stock market that much. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's start looking at stock of the day, ASML from Netherlands. A few weeks ago, it created this candle called a dark cloud cover. What it did was it opened higher than the previous day's close, and it closed below the midpoint of the previous day's close. That is a top and reversal pattern. Roughly 60% of the time, it is a top and reversal pattern. It did sell off, but it then found some support at 858, and that is the key support short term that you don't want to see ASML to close below if you are a shareholder in that company. If it does, well, then there is a short term potential to next support area around 825. It's not that strong, to be honest. The really strong one is 760. To the upside, to basically gain some upside momentum again. A close above the previous little peak here, 923.30. If it does close above that, well, then it could challenge the dark cloud cover. And if it does close above the peak of that one at 958.40, well, then the bullish trend has resumed. But it would be a good indication that it has resumed if it closed above 923. There's some divergence here for quite some time, but if we can get our side back above 60, it could also support a bullish scenario. Looking at the US markets, we have S&P 500. Yes, it was lower yesterday, but there's still room down to 5,057. We are technically in a very, very short-term bearish trend, but it's not that pronounced. So we could still see some upside potential here the next couple of days. So it's not really something that had rattled the market really that much with the CPI numbers. More or less same picture on Nasdaq 100. Yes, it closed lower yesterday, but still above 17,800. So it's still in this wide range up to 18,417. So not really something that has changed the overall picture that much. There was a little bit volatility on the European market. Stocks 50 did test the 4,976, but did close above, and that is the key level. It must not close below. If it does, then we are seeing a correction at least down to 4,900, I believe. And then we have DAX, also volatility, but still above 17,900. We are in a short-term downtrend, as you can see, or corrective trend, but it could turn around if we take out the previous day's peaks. AX has found a little bit better, very close to its all-time highs within a few cents. Could it occur today, especially if ASML is ticking higher, but other stocks down there, Shell and the banks are doing extremely well at the moment. So we are still in an uptrend on AX. 872 is the level to look out for. And CAC 40 dipped lower, but has regained some ground. We are in a short-term downtrend, corrective trend, really, more than a real downtrend, but there is potential down to around 7,900-ish level. If it takes out 8,170, well, it could maybe start establishing an uptrend. Also, SMI almost dipped down all the way to 11,386. But regained some ground, closed around 11,496, and that was still caught in this range here, really. And it is a kind of a correction range, and we could, if we close above 11,555, well, then uptrend could resume. A lot of stuff to talk about on the FX markets. Let's get cracking. We had euro dollar testing previous lows here, or previous troughs here at 107.25, bouncing a little bit. And I think we could see a little bit of bounce today, maybe in the next couple of days. But the tide has really turned, and this correction that took it up to 61.8, retracement at 108.83. That was too strong to be broken. We are in a negative sentiment. I think we will see euro dollar trading lower in coming weeks towards 106, around 106.60. Cable also testing previous lows here from earlier this month, 1st of April. Closed more or less bang on it, and we can remove this one, and it seems like we are now in a downtrend with a bearish sentiment, and I think we could move below 125 in a few days. Probably not today. It will take a little bit back today, possibly around the moving 200 moving average here, but trend is confirmed down on cable. Dollar yen, that really broke its deadlock yesterday with a massive move above 151.95, 153.20 at the moment. And if we're looking, how far can it actually go? Well, since we are almost in uncharted territory, we're not, but at least for quite some time. 138.2 projection is at 156.38. And that is derived from this larger correction here. So if we actually do zoom out quite a bit, maybe we could get a little bit of an idea, but we really have to move far back. But we are back here, as you can see, to these peaks here back in 1990. So we can look at that a lot of the time. Euro yen also higher a little bit, but not. It has failed to take out 165.35 previous peak here. Sold off a little bit. I think we will have another go here in a day or two. RSI is still bullish, but there's divergence, so it's a little bit indecisive. Could also be caught range bound between 165 and 163, around that level here, above the lower rising trend line. So be a little bit cautious there, because it can be quite frustrating sometimes when it's just range bounding. The Aussie yen also quite a volatility, got hammered down yesterday after almost reaching the 138.2 projection at 185. We are now back in this range here again, 99 and 100. Again, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to read them. But what I would do is, what you can also do, you can add some trend lines. See, it actually did test yesterday, but it closed above its rising trend line, and that is a little bit of a positive sign if you're long euro yen. Not much of a divergence, so we should see it moving higher. I don't think it will take out 91. I think we'll start slowly ticking higher here in coming days. Sterling yen didn't react much. I mean, there was a little bit of intraday's trading. I think we will see a test of 193.50 in a few days. We still have positive sentiment on our side, despite there's a little bit of divergence, but I think it will be tested in a couple of days. If it takes out 190, that is the key level to look out for. Well, then the picture has completely changed. Aussie dollar rejected at the 66.40 resistance, could test the 64.85 support around that level in a couple of days. Indecisive, I think will be range bound for quite some time. Dollar Canada post higher, likely to move to the 786 retracement at 137.45. It finally closed above, and we have the RSI also above 60, the 60 threshold, meaning we are in a bullish trend. Then we have dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss also closed above 91.08 resistance, and we have to look at the weekly chart to see where we are actually headed. Well, we have the 100 moving average and 200 moving, and this is the weekly chart. Those moving averages are declining, so it's actually crossing over. That will give some resistance, but we could see dollar Swiss spiking up to previous peak at around 92.5. Finally, on the dollar index, moving on to the daily chart, that it closed above 104.84, and we talked about it over the past couple of days. If it does that, well, then there's room out to around 105.5, 105.83, the previous peaks we can see over here, possibly even higher, which is also the 161.8 and 176 projection of this correction right there. It could slide back a little bit, and it would not be a worry if it slides back below the 104.84. The uptrend is confirmed also with positive sentiment. Gold seems it has topped out, at least short term. There is divergence on the RSI. This RSI value here is actually a little bit lower than this one, meaning that we have an imbalance in the market. The indication of trend exhaustion, at least short term. I think we could see a correction possibly down to 2280 level if we measured from here, but we could also measure from here, then could dip down to around 2220, but that will not change the overall picture for gold. The overall picture is still that we are in a very strong uptrend, also medium term. Let's just add that one, then we have both of them. So here we have 61.8 at 2230, close to the 38.2, 22.20, so that is not unlikely we could see a correction down there. We are ripe for a correction, but it's just a question of how big it will be. If you're looking at the weekly chart, no divergence on the RSI. Correction could give energy to the next move higher. Silver, also correction is looming, and there we could see it down to possibly 25.93, but there's some support around these levels here, around the 27, where we had a little bit of a consolidation before next move higher. So it is also in an uptrend with now no divergence, indicating we could see higher levels above or to test the 30 level. Copper, also a little bit ripe for a correction. I think we'll see a correction down to possibly around 416, 410 maybe, before it will push higher. I think it will push higher, but 430 is really a strong resistance around these levels here. That's really strong resistance. And what we can see is actually, if we move that one up there, it was almost bang on, just a few cents from the previous peak. The WTI and Brent crude oil, not really much to say. In an uptrend with room up to around $90. Brent crude with potential up to around 93 and 93.80, so not really much news there. Let's just have a quick look at cocoa, because everyone is talking about it anyway, so let's just have a look. And we have higher highs on cocoa yesterday. Potential up to 11,000, so it's not unlikely we will reach that, maybe even higher. Finally, what we should look at is the US 10-year Treasury yields. It went straight through 450 resistance, and it's very close to the 460, which is 100% of this correction phase here, or this double bottom pattern that has a potential up to 460, but we don't have any strong resistance until around 470, so it is not unlikely we will get to there. And also see RSI is in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence, indicating we are likely to see higher highs on the US Treasury yields. All right, that's all for today. We are facing another busy day here in the market. Have a nice day and happy trading.